Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up podcast. My name is DJ. It is mid-December, and against all odds, Neil, we are talking golf, my man. It's good to be
We're
with you. The merch
great to
czar.
be with you. Great to be with you. It's cold in the big city, but fired up to talk. It's a reflective period. I'm getting ready for the goals podcast on the trap draw. I'm just thinking about the year, and it's a great night to talk some golf, talk about 2024.
And that's a little bit what we're going to be doing. There's a couple of tournaments this week. We'll breeze past those, but we've got some other big picture conversations to get to help us do it. Neil, we've got a third chair today coming back. He's started more games, I think, as a starting pitcher than anyone else in league history. Coming into kind of a bullpen role as he gets coming back from injury. Chris Soly Solomon, how are you, Soly? Welcome back.
I mean, Randy Johnson, didn't he pitch in like the ninth inning of a couple playoff
Of
games
course, of course.
at one point after he logged about 3,000 innings? But hey, I don't know if this is back, but I'm here. We have it was total chaos in this household as of 45 minutes ago. Now all is calm, and I'm apparently ready to talk some golf with you guys.
I
He's
love it.
rocking the Jags gear tonight. A tough loss to my Jets. I'm wearing my Jets green up here in the big city. God, you came in hot there, Solly. I thought your camera was going to freeze to start your return. I was like, well, it might have. There it is. He froze again. Oh no, he's not frozen. There he is.
The computer just rebooted. I literally had to scrape some dust off of it to get fired up here today. It might not work throughout all this. Who knows? But I'm happy to be here.
Hey, so for those that don't know, of course, Soly and his wife just welcomed new twins into the world. Everybody's happy, healthy. Well, what's the update, man?
It has been a month of perspective in a lot of ways. We always joke about that in terms of how it could help your golf game. I think it's perspective is the word I would use. You could trick yourself into thinking it's just been the worst month ever, or you could also trick yourself into thinking it's been the best month ever.
Sure.
And it's a constant battle, hour by hour, on that exercise. But we are very blessed with three happy and healthy children that are all under a year and a half, of course. But it has been more chaotic than I would have thought. More, it's you guys know you have newborns or you have young children. It's just a massive, massive time commitment. That's just what it is, and it is even more so than I possibly ever could have imagined. We went to lunch today, and some friends dropped off dinner, and that was the entire day. And it's been the busiest possible day you could ever imagine. Like that is. I've not had a chance to go through the agenda because that was the two things I did today.
Well, you brought the whole squad out for lunch? What was that?
Whole squad, we
Jeez.
went and met Santa today,
Ooh.
actually. So that was
Well, you got that was a
legit
photo op then. That was a total photo shoot. I love it.
Yeah.
That's a busy day.
2.5 hours to get out the door pretty much in terms of sequencing for the 45 minutes we were gone. But yeah, it's been great. Had a lot of support from a lot of people. My wife is just a total G and handling it with incredible grace. And we got a month down. Now you start to get out of that 6 weeks or so is when maybe hopefully things start to turn and they start to do some stuff and get a little bit of return on the time investment. Right now it's just eat, sleep, poop. That's
Sure.
pretty much what it is.
Man, well, we're gonna get into this a little bit later, just kind of how this is gonna all affect your golf game. If you have any plans around how this is gonna go, I'm really excited to talk about that. But speaking of our golf games, a good one from our friends at Titleist here tonight. They said, you know what, you take the ad read in whatever direction you want. We just want to know, similar to kind of like what we do with the FootJoy moment of joy. Just you tell us, man, what worked this year. Neil, I'm gonna start with you on a Titleist standpoint. What worked for your game this year?
I narrowed it down to two, but the easy answer is the switch that I made in May to the Pro V1X left dash. That golf ball, I took the first time I played it was when I beat Ben's ass at Pinehurst. You can see that on our YouTube channel. It really helped me off the tee, little less spinny right miss. And it's just been, I adjusted to the firmness of the golf ball. That was my concern. I don't like a firm golf ball, but that was quickly not an issue. And it was like a good experiment. I committed to using it. I was like, I'm going to use this for at least 2 months. And I just haven't looked back since I started using it. And I would think, looking at some of my year in review stats with the Gin app is, the score dropped. My goal this year was to not get worse,
Yeah.
with a new child coming into my life. And I actually dropped my handicap by 50%. So how about that?
Jesus, how about that?
I will say the runner-up, just so I get it out of the way, because if people are wondering, which they're probably not, was the T-Grind, the SM10, the new Vokey wedges. Took those T-Grinds down to Australia, and 58 degree. I have the T04, and I just love the way it sits on the turf, and that really has helped my confidence around the greens with that specific wedge.
Fantastic. Soly, I have a feeling we're gonna be swimming in similar lanes here, so let me alley-oop one to you. I'm gonna shout out the GT3 driver that I was fit into this year, and, try not to overstate this. TC spoke about this a little bit on the
Yeah,
pod last week.
I've heard.
The speed gains are incredible. There's and a lot of the reason I was able to do that was just feeling like I had a little bit of support on the forgiveness front, feeling like I could really go after it. As you guys have played many, many, many rounds of golf with me. I've just always been such a tentative swinger of the driver, just always trying to guide it out there. That never goes well. You get the two-way miss, and when you actually like are properly working on your golf swing, it turns out, Solly, I'll pass it off to you. It's almost like the more you groove the swing, the harder you're going at it. In a lot of ways, the straighter it's going to end up going. And I'm sure you probably saw a little bit of that this year too.
That's exactly right. It was maybe a month after we got our hands on the new GT line. It was like the first time I felt encouraged to go speed train. Like I don't know, that can't be a coincidence, right? And I think it has something to do with the forgiveness of like, all right, man, I feel like I can absolutely wail on this thing, and it's like improving uh, everything when I do that, right? The good drives are even better. Bad drives are not flying as far offline, and they're getting farther out there. It was, I don't know. It felt like I'd been granted the permission to launch, and we activated the sequence, and that's been. And I got some tip. I did a Titleist shoot actually this past week and got tips from two different. Russell Henley fixed my driver, and Wyndham Clark fixed my irons in like 30 seconds each.
Huge.
And I'll probably next in February when I get to practice again. I cannot wait to put both those.
God, this is my favorite. Solly's back, baby. Yeah, guys, I fixed it. The driver's fixed.
Tee it lower. Russell Henley, tee it lower, and it prevents me to stop like lifting up at the ball and like actually not physically hit down, but I'm up 5 degrees as it stands. So tee it lower, and then I'm less likely to do like the hump move at the ball. And I was like, oh my god, was that a 5-yard fade? And it was awesome.
I forget who. God, I forget who said this. Somebody had the great idea of starting a "Is Solly back" Twitter account, and they just would update it like every time they hear like we're getting reports Solly's back, and then oh no, he shot 81 in a match against Ben, like Solly's not back. So I forget who that was, but whoever it was, please update Solly.
I love
Solly's
that.
officially back. And it's thanks in large part to our friends at Titleist. If you would like to get back in a big way, I would say go visit Titleist.com. Get yourself kitted out, get yourself fitted out, and get ready for a big year in 2025. Guys, a couple of golf tournaments that we had this year. We had Q School, of course, where Lanto Griffin was our champion. We had the Grant Thornton mixed event. Patty Tavatanakit and Jake Knapp were your winners at that event. At LPGA Q School, we had 23-year-old Miyu Yamashita, who was our medalist and is, we'll talk about her in just a second. And at the Live Golf Promotions event, of course, Max Lee, won what I call Live Golf's comp to the Waterbury Open.
I thought for a second, I was like, are they calling it the Waterbury Open? Is that? So I'm glad that I was going to confirm if this was DJ's signature here.
It's just a 36-hole tournament, and if you win it, you get a year of no cut $25 million purses. I mean, it's the best 36.
Where's my check? I don't have any checks to give.
Yeah.
I'll just give me one of them big ones. I don't care.
I don't care. Let's start at Q School. Solly, I know you watched a good bit of this. It was down in your neck of the woods at Sawgrass Country Club in Dyes Valley. I guess kind of starting with the headline, Lanto Griffin won by 3. I mentioned the top 5 finishers and ties all go straight to the PGA Tour. That is kind of the, everything old is new again type of status at Q School. And those people were Lanto, Hayden Buckley, who has played the PGA Tour the last couple of years. Takumi Kanaya, very big news for TC, former #1 amateur in the world, Asia Pacific amateur champion, I believe. He's going to the PGA Tour for the first time. Alejandro Tosti, the fiery young man who looked like he lost his card. He earned it right back. That was exciting to see. Will Chandler, Neil, from
Shout
the
out
Marist School.
From the Marist School, from my alma mater, a lefty, back 930.
Unbelievable.
Was one over on the front, already 15, then eagle, made a long eagle on 16. But yeah, shout out to the Marist War Eagles, man. Awesome stuff here.
That's gonna be an interesting story to follow. His like he straight up like does not have the resume to be on the PGA Tour. I think he would probably even admit that, but
Yes.
he went full Martin Trainer into the top 5 here, and he's gonna be playing on the PGA Tour. I'm very fascinated to see how this works out. I
Well, he
mean,
was. I
it's
remember him being a stud in high school, like in our world. It's like, oh, Eris has this guy, Will Chandler. He's really good. He's a lefty, and then he went to UGA, and I think he did pretty well. And then he's just been grinding it out on the, kind of trying to make it. And here it is, man. So like one of these awesome stories and the fact that I know who he is. I coached him at Marist War Eagle football camp long time ago.
You might have been digging deep for some of that grit that you instilled in him
How
today,
about that? Yeah, he's a
backside
he was
straight.
through lefty. He was my quarterback on the flag football team. Unbelievable.
And then I should mention before we move on, Matthew Riedel, also 24-year-old kid from Vanderbilt, who played the Korn Ferry Tour this year, also got through. Those were your 6 people moving through automatically to the PGA Tour. Soly, you watched a good bit of this event as well. Kind of a fun watch, man, with Bacon
yeah,
and James Nitty's on the call and familiar golf
that's what I was gonna
courses.
say.
It was fun, man.
It's kinda like, I mean, you know the story before you tune in, like, some guys that almost certainly don't have a ton of ties to, or some guys are gonna get through and some guys aren't, and it's just kinda you just watch it all unfold, and from that standpoint, yeah, they do an awesome job of just they don't have a ton of cameras out there, which, like, fits
For sure.
the story as well, like, you kind of linger on some of these guys, you follow the emotions of it. Bacon and Nitty's do an awesome job of just, like, setting the scene. I mean, Riedel had a nervy final 3 holes, hit the pin with a chip on 17, and then you had a bunch of up and downs coming in to get on the number. Alistair Doherty was in the lead going into the final round. He missed out by 1 shot,
He also
and
missed out by 1 shot at the last, Korn Ferry Tour event of the year, which is tough. I was reading about it. He had to basically, there were 2 guys, on the last hole that both had these, like, mid-length putts, and both of them had to make in order to knock him out, and they both made and knocked him out,
I
and
watched that, and I didn't even realize that was him
yeah,
as
so
well. I totally forgot about that.
he's decked out in all the Barstool stuff. I think he's kind of the Barstool version of Lauren Coughlin. I know they're all good buddies with him, so I'm sure they were sweating watching him today. But yeah, that's a tough 2-time beat there coming down the last stretch of the season.
Make you stronger,
That's right.
hopefully.
That's
But no, it's I don't know. It's an interesting, fun watch. A lot more kind of again, kind of what we think the fall should be is like figuring out if you're really deep into pro golf, this tournament's exactly for you. For guys are going to get a lot of starts next year.
a lot of interesting stories. Again, like you're saying, if you want to get deep into it, a lot of the PJ Tour, you guys, Christo Lamprecht and Pearson Cootie, kind of both shored up their status for next year, whereas some of the other big names, Austin Greaser and Dylan Menente, and some of those guys kind of were not a factor. Sam Bennett, 74, 76, WD, Smelia, and then just kind of a lot of dudes just kind of being scraped off the shoe of pro golf a little bit too. Ches Reavie, T88,
Hey,
Neil.
come on, man.
There's just, people always talk about like, man, it's so hard to lose your card. It's so hard to lose your card, and then you kind of start to see some of these guys start to hit those stepping stones, and it's like, I don't know if we're gonna. I'm not saying that about Ches, of course, but it's like I don't know if we're gonna see that guy's name for a while. There's
Chez gonna be
a bit
hitting
of
the
those
open
on the
mic
leaderboard.
this year. I will say, just totally random, but Christo Lamprecht he was at TPI the day before Tron and I did the videos, the
Yeah.
TPI videos we have on our YouTube channel. And so Dr. Greg Rose was comparing, he's like, oh, let me pull up Christo's stuff because it was like Jim's first thing. Unbelievable, like maybe one of the premier athletes on the planet.
Yeah.
The way this guy, it's unbelievable seeing that stuff in slow-mo with all the force plates and how much lag he gets. So I hope this is not the last we see of Christo. I hope he makes the big leagues this year.
Just an absolute ball speed freak
It's
as well.
unbelievable.
That's the stuff that, that's what Randy should be doing with that
I
big
know,
frame he's got, and
for
he's
sure.
going the opposite direction. We would need to get those 2 together for a little lunch and learn maybe. Anything else on Q School from you guys?
Definitely, I have one huge shout out on the eve of probably one of the biggest weeks of her year. The Korn Ferry Tour president. I mentioned we've had a lot of support from a lot of people. Korn Ferry Tour president Alex Baldwin Made my wife and I spaghetti and meatballs and a skillet cookie and brought it over this past weekend. It was like the best meal we've had in the past month, and it was just like one of the nicest moves I've ever had anybody do for me. So shout out to her
She's
because
the
So,
that was
best.
just
just
ridiculous.
more evidence. The tour's not paying us, but they are cooking Soly dinner. So,
That's right. Exactly.
She and my wife have a
I'm just
relationship from
kidding.
her previous role with web.com. Come on, that's kind of
No, that's really
the in
nice.
here,
That's
but
very nice. Thank
yeah,
you.
it was incredibly nice.
She's an unbelievable chef as well. Remember we all went over for dinner at her place a couple years ago. That was a highlight. Always good to get at the Baldwin table. But at the Grant Thornton, I mentioned Patty Tavatanakit and Jake Knapp are your winners by one shot over Gino Titakum and Tom Kim. Guys, I'm going to be honest, I don't have a ton from the Grant Thornton. It's one of those events that exists. I feel like we've kind of said everything we have to say about it. I wish everyone well. Everyone looks like they're having a good time, but I don't know how much I need to be involved with this event. Anybody got anything else?
I'm just struggling to marry why I say all year long there should be a men's and women's crossover event, and then this one comes around, and I can't muster up any energy for it.
It's December
I'm
15th.
wondering if you can help me with
It's
that.
December
Yeah, it's the
15th.
I
time of
know.
year, man.
You
It looks
know,
like a fun event to go to in person.
totally.
Like I flipped it on Friday, Saturday for a little bit, and it's just not something that I'm gonna watch. I just didn't really have a ton of time to like get into it though.
It's a tough sell at this time of year with literally no stakes. It's
Yeah.
just truly like
It's true.
we are doing this and you can watch it or not and everything's going to march on the same is a tough sell. So I don't know, man. Again, I'm with you, Solly, where it's like I love that they're trying something different. I love that people behind it are putting their money where their mouth is and making it a mixed event and getting the ladies involved. It's a tough broadcast, tough golf course, tough time of year. If this was in July and it took the place of the Rocket Mortgage or something, I think people would be mega into it. I really do. But it's like
Yeah.
a meaningless event in December is just it's not it. It feels like checking a box, and that's kind of shitty for everyone involved, I think. But
The parts I did watch, I honestly enjoyed. I mean, the scramble's kind of interesting. Like, I honestly was keen to see which order the players went in. I love the teams where the guy was going before the woman. Like Berger and Nelly were doing it that way. I just found that to be an interesting. Usually, usually it's like the fairway finder, the safe shot person goes first, and then the second person fires at it. And I enjoyed watching kind of those
Hey,
relationships.
but what? Shout out to Jake Knapp. Nice little year for Jake Knapp.
yeah, and a little fun fact, I think they both won their events on the same day this year earlier, and then they ended up being partners, which is kind of fun. But at the LPGA Q School, also going on this week, I mentioned Miyu Yamashita earns medalist honors over there. Big deal for the LPGA. She is number 14 in the Rolex rankings and is about to become an LPGA rookie. She's won 13 times on the LPGA of Japan and, of course, finished runner-up at last year's KPMG Women's PGA. Couple other notables to gain or re-earn their card: Azahara Munoz going back to the LPGA, and 19-year-old Saki Baba, another one of TC's favorite young players. 19-year-old from Japan, former U.S. Women's AM champion. She is going to the LPGA, which is very exciting. A couple players outside the top 25: Bronte Law, one shot outside; Maria Fossey, Sophia Popov were kind of the notables that I had circled outside the top 25. So
God, it's so unbelievable that TC shouldn't be allowed to claim all these names just across the spectrum, but it works. Like it's like, oh, another one to Takumi Kanaya, another one of TC's guys. It's
I
like
know.
there's like 50 of them, you know?
Uh, and then when the Ludwig one hits, we spend 30
That's what
minutes
I mean. It's
debating
like
it at the start
I
of the
need
round.
to
I'm
I
so
need to
glad you
make that
said
might be
this
my
and not me.
strategy in 25. I might just start
Just roulette the
yeah,
board.
throwing out a total roulette of like, oh, yeah, I'm claiming him. I'm claiming him. Yeah,
Uh,
he's not even fucking here, and we're calling out TC's Saki Baba. You know, that's one of TC's favorites.
it's good branding, man. I don't know. That's what pops into
It's
my
so
head when
sick.
I hear it.
This is why I can't understand why TC is not into meme coins. He should absolutely be in meme coins because he would hit that 1,000Xer
Yeah, he
and
probably
not worry
would.
about the 49 that he missed. Like, he should be a meme coiner.
Don't worry, Solid. We're gonna get to the showdown presented by Crypto.com here shortly.
I'm a Coinbase guy. Thank you for congratulating me on the Bitcoin all-time high as
Yeah, no,
well. Congrats to you as well,
I
Neil.
had a whole
Yeah.
segment on that we were gonna get to.
Oh,
Uh,
it's up again, 105.6,
before
new
we
all-time high.
before we get there, though, I want to move on. I want to talk about the something that I've been looking forward to for a while here. This is going to be our season long mea culpa section. In golf, when bad shots happen, there's the mulligan ball. When fire, water, or other damage happens, there's Serve Pro. And thankfully, the pros at Serve Pro know how to make any mess both on and off the course like it never even happened. And at NLU, we have the Mea Culpa segment presented by Serve Pro to make us to help us take some of these bad takes, make them like they never even happened. It's the end of the year, so we're gonna do a season-long mea culpa. I wanted you guys to reach back and just find something that you're like, man, I've been sitting on this one for a year, and I really need to make this one right. Neil, I want to start with you. What's been bugging you? What do you want to come before the council to address today?
I actually spent a good amount of time today thinking about this. Bryson DeChambeau. I feel like I didn't see it coming. I just got a lot of thoughts bouncing around in my head about like I feel like he gave us a warning shot at Augusta. He played well at the Masters this year, and I didn't really buy it. I was like, nah, he's not back. And it really surprised me when he won the US Open. Had the shot of the year, and just kind of stole that tournament, like went out and got it. I just didn't see this Bryson resurgence coming on, like from a professional standpoint. I didn't see him winning a major this year. So I kind of missed there. And I was right a long time ago about the bulking and the weight gain leading to injuries. And I think he's even said that of like, yeah, man, probably all like 9 protein shakes a day, like was not great for him. But I guess I just thought that he was a little more lost than he was. So I wasn't really paying attention. And some of that might have been like a live bias for me, or like not knowing what's going on over on that tour. And then I guess the other piece of it is that I didn't see it landing so well with casual fans.
Yeah.
Like I still struggle with Bryson for all the reasons we've talked about here. Like it feels like it's manufactured, the best way that I've kind of explained it. It feels like he's living his life based on the comments on his YouTube channel of like, oh, you guys want me to sign more autographs? Like I'm going to do that like tomorrow. I'm going to sign like 55 autographs during the tournament. But people fucking love it. It's like there's mass appeal there and it's like he's very marketable. Like a good example, I was thinking about this today. I don't even know if he has an official deal with FootJoy, but the fact that he exclusively wears Hyperflex, I noticed that. And I bet a bunch of people are like, oh, I bet Bryson is like, he's probably tested 95 pairs of shoes. He probably did a whole physics experiment on which ones were the best. And like, he only wears Hyperflex. Like that's the kind of marketing he's able to do. And then I just saw, that he's doing the Reebok golf thing. He's bringing that back. And I think that's really smart by him. Like, and I think he is one of the few golfers right now that can carry a brand or really be the face of a brand. I'm struggling to pick out of that many other guys that you could launch a company, a sports company or apparel company outside of golf could really, hitch their wagon to better than Bryson. And so I guess my mea culpa is I didn't really think he had it in him in that way. And I was wrong about that. Now, do I want to root for him? Nah, maybe not, but I think he's good for the game. And it's kind of nice to have, for me, maybe a villain, but like just some juice back in the game. I mean, the hole in one over his house stuff, like candidly, that was sick. It's like,
content.
it's cheesy and it's stupid and all of it, but it's like, it's stuff. He's just doing stuff. And so I guess, that's my mea culpa.
Some of this is not your fault, Neil. So, like the dude changed, right?
Well,
First of all,
but he
I
has
think
changed,
you're
but
underselling.
he hasn't. So it's just like I guess the mea culpa is like
He changed the hat. That's still the most important thing.
Yeah,
I will die on this hill. I swear. I had some old highlights on from the Masters in 2019 when he had the Hogan hat, and he just like everything he does is that much more punchable. I swear. And then like it's not the dude you're watching now. You don't see any joy on his face when he does anything in that phase. Like the dude changed. Like he really. Maybe it took him a little longer to mature. So I won't let you wear that one.
Well, but I'll say this: I'm not going to apologize for making fun of him. I'm not going to apologize for kicking you out.
No,
but I want to give him credit. I want to apologize for not giving him enough credit. And I think, Scotty's the clear player of the year. And I think Xander, if the player of the PGA Tour, let's call it the Oscars, that's the player that, player of the year. You got to give Bryson like a Golden Globe, or maybe he won some VMA, like
best cinematography at least.
Something
supporting actor.
Like, and then Deej and I were talking about this before the pod. Like, I would love to know where he would be on the PIP list, because I know he's not eligible, but like they have the stats on it. Like, where does he stack in their formula? And maybe all the other guys that are on the PIP list owe him a mea culpa. or
Yeah.
a thank you at least, because he has to be in the top 3. I mean, the guy's he's a content machine.
I know Solly was holding up, for those listening in the audio version, the number 1, and I would love to have that proven wrong, that he might not be, number 1 on that list after everything he did this year.
I mean, he was like this when he was still the most interesting guy when he was punchable. Like the all as soon as he bulked up and tried to hit the ball far. I mean, I was designing my day around his tee times just to see the shot tracker on these things. Like he's been the kind of the center of the golf universe for a fair amount of time now. Now the injuries and going to live like hurt big time. Like people as big as he is, it doesn't explain why nobody watches him on live. Like that still is. It speaks to why that tour I think has not been very successful in terms of capturing a television audience. But it is, I mean, yeah, he's nonstop entertainment, man.
Yeah, so I guess
And
to wrap it up, like the mea culpa is just like I was unfamiliar that your game was back.
it's exactly where I was
Not
going.
that
With
I was
that.
familiar
Yeah.
with your game at one point, but I forgot about it, and I'm not going to do that this year. So he's, that's I think worth acknowledging, and I think yes, Scotty was the player of the year, but I think Bryson was the biggest golfer of the year. I don't know how to put that. Like there's like
Big
an award
golfer,
for it, like influencer of the year. I don't even know what you would call it.
Remember when,
person of the year.
remember when Top
Person
Gun
of the year.
remember when Top Gun was nominated for Best Picture a couple years ago, and everyone was like, "Yeah, I mean, it's not like that good of a movie, but like it should still win." Because it was sick, and like they should do like best like blockbuster movie of the year, just like a movie that's like sick that
Yeah,
made
it's
a
like
bunch
its
of
own
money.
genre.
Yeah, like that's basically what Bryson is. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's not, it's not like an art piece, but like it is sick. It's worthwhile here. It's worth going to see at least. That's good stuff, Neil. I am a little curious. Not to We don't have to linger on this too long, but like, when did it flip, man? Like, other than the hat, like, go back to. We're gonna talk about the
I'm
about.
not willing to say other than the hat. I
I
swear.
feel like he got healthy, Deej, at the end of 23. Like he play well at the Open in 23. Like
Yeah,
he had a couple good major finishes in 23, and I feel like he was,
I
he
think
kind of gotten out of the
he might
I
have
don't
just
want to
like
call it
shut
like the
the fuck
golf
up
version
for a
of the
little while.
tabloids. Like
Yes.
nobody was making fun of
Yes,
him because he just wasn't around.
yes.
And I think he kind of was able to just reset on his own.
I
It
think that's
seemed
right.
that's all projection by me, but it seemed like he came out swinging, started in April. I was like, oh, okay. But I didn't believe
It,
it, and then in the US Open, he just balled out. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think this is total guess or speculation, but I think at some point in like the last off season, he did some sort of, I don't want to call it media training, but a very like a branding exercise, legitimately a somewhat formal branding exercise of like, dude, you got to smile more. You got to look people in the face. You got, if we're going to do this content thing, like a 5-pillar approach, like making you more likable. Cause like he carried himself. So I actually talked to him a little bit at the Masters, and the guy hates my guts. I don't blame him for that. But like he like shook my hand and like said hello and like talked to me at the Masters, which was like, I was like, are you, are we doing that? Are you sure? Do you remember me? Like you've said some things about me, and it was clear like he showed up at Augusta with like a different attitude towards the game and carrying himself as a professional.
The
So
best. This is a really old random story, but DJ and I played in a Hickory event at Winter Park in Orlando, and we had a fire ant situation. We did a little Instagram story,
that's
and I got some
right.
fire ants, and it hurt. They were all over my legs, and I was and DJ tagged Bryson in that. And I remember the DM he sent back. He's like, see, it sucks, right? Like he had like a whole paragraph about like, it is dangerous animal relief. It was that's my like
Maybe that's where
closest interaction with Bryson.
maybe that's where it started, Maybe that's where the sense of humor started. All right, Solly, what do you got? Neil, that was good stuff,
And
man.
mine's not nearly as dramatic. I went back and listened to my my bold predictions for 2024. I did predict that Hovland would win a major this year. He got very close to the PGA, but missed the cut at all the other ones and was horrible this past year. That was just a bad call and a mea culpa. My other prediction was very bad as well, but I think it is probably going to step on yours. My third prediction on those, I don't know if you want to include this in this section, but I said Scotty was going to win 4 times, win a major, and have positive strokes gained putting. I don't know if you want that in
No, he
there
won like
or
9
not, but
times. You weren't even close.
okay, yeah, that was a little light on the prediction, but at the time that sounded pretty bold. But yeah, the Victor Hovland thing just did not end up working out, and that's a mea culpa that I'll own.
I had one kinda, yeah, Solly, I think your second one was probably gonna be similar to this, where, when Rom joined Live, I think I just had some really, like, way too bold of takes about how fast everything was going to come back together, and was even like, yeah, he might play like the players, man. Like, who knows, right? Like, he could come back like immediately. Like, that's it, nail in the coffin. This thing's over. Let's just get these two things back together, and we're going to be good. You got to remember, we're living in a post framework era at that time. But yeah, that was not what happened. It turns out. Turns out we're still quite a ways away. We don't even know. We're going to get to that eventually. But like, yeah, that's just a really bad take by me on that one. But I also wanted to throw out, Soly, I regret deeply not going harder at you about how pumped you were about the fact that TGL was playing off real turf. I
I'm
think
still fried
I
for
think
that.
when you
That's
I think
sick.
when you started saying, I almost was just like blown away at, you're like, no, you guys, like, TGL's gonna be sick. Like, they're playing off real turf. Like, you guys, yes, that's
No,
They're
Neil,
gonna be
I
that
was
taking
was
excited about
pelts,
that.
man. They're gonna be fixing their divots. It's gonna be awesome.
I was just so,
I
felt like I
remember
got
that,
punched
Sal.
in
You
the
were talking
face.
about them fixing their divots, like putting divot mix in, and how it was gonna be like that was gonna be a whole thing.
You know, they're
I'm gonna
playing
make
off
you find that audio because that
real
doesn't sound
turf,
like me.
man. It's gonna be sick. I was like, "Oh,
That's
yeah,
better than hitting off the mat. Like that's I
if
don't
you're
know. I'm
playing,
still riding
not if
with
you're
it.
watching." Uh,
I don't know. Still hitting. I like that they're hitting off real turf. I think that's cool. I'm not gonna.
Have you
Forget.
seen the
I
turf
do think my
conditions in the
future,
dome, Deej? It's
my
unbelievable.
next year mea culpa might be that I actually rode somewhat hard for the TGL. I could pre mea culpa that for next
we
year.
should,
But
yeah, that's good. Put some money in the bank. Well, thank you to our friends at Serve Pro. That is our season long mea culpa section. If you need to make any disaster like it never even happened, give a shout to our friends at Serve Pro. Guys,
I feel lighter. I got that off my chest. I feel
good.
lighter.
That was useful. I really, if there was a best picture for that segment, Neil, I think you're a runaway winner. I think that was well done. Guys, it is time for the Stolen Valor E9, whatever we're calling it, the back nine. We're still workshopping. We're waiting for our brand. We're gonna do a whole brand audit about the E9, and we'll come up with something better in the new year. But it's just 9 things I wanted to talk to you guys about this week. Okay, and number one, where else would we start? According to a Bloomberg story this week, the PIF and PGA Tour Enterprises are nearing an investment deal that would give the PIF a 6% stake in the PGA Tour while continuing to operate Live Golf as an independent entity. Worth noting, we are almost a year past the original deadline from the hashtag framework agreement. Uh, Simple question here. Can someone just level set where we're at? Solly, I'll throw it to you. What does this mean? What do we make of any of this as we head into 2025? Is the framework agreement completely dead? Does any of this matter? Are we close to a deal? Does anybody know anything? Where are we at here?
well, I think this is important, and I'm way late getting to this. And technically, this was a 2023 thing that I could have been my mea culpa as well, because I was along the same lines. I said they're going to get a deal done. It's going to be a global tour, and the world's getting back together. And you guys were like, "Oh, bold call, man," and it didn't end up actually happening. I'm done following my nose on this in terms of like using common sense, right? Because it doesn't sound like the golf world's getting back together based on this report that's out there. I know there's some, I only read a couple of tweets on it that were like, yeah, Live's not going away. All this to say, like, my stance on this for several months has been just like, wake me up when you tell me what the schedule and the competition crossover is going to look like. I don't care what the percentage investment is. I there's about to be 5 more layers of stuff they're going to probably announce that I'm not interested in. I could not give less of a shit about, and most golf fans could not, until you figure out how you get all these people on the golf course at the same time again. It's all worthless, and I would think that would be incredibly like very clear common sense and I would have thought with all the people that are involved with the SSG, all these people that are involved with these other sports leagues, they'd be like, yeah, dude, it only works if you get all the best players playing under the same umbrella. I'm guessing there's going to be some kind of agreement of some kind that these players will be able to play in certain PGA Tour events. I have no clue what that would look like for the current tours players and whether or not they could go play Live and double dip. Like, are they going to invite more double dipping and crossover? We don't have the answers to those, and I'm done like assuming that we're going to end up there, right?
Yeah.
Because I still like I went back a couple months ago and listened to like our reaction to June 6th. And like I don't regret anything we said in that because we were like given and presented and they went on television and said like this is over and we're gonna do this now together. Like and we there's a signed agreement that said Live was gonna go away. And that just like didn't happen, which like makes that day look so incredibly foolish on the side of the PGA Tour if it doesn't end up coming together, and it just doesn't seem to be trending that way. And I just don't think they could that. I don't even want to say this because I can't imagine that they don't understand how like much of a like bullet in the head this is for professional golf, because they do, but there's some sort of financial incentive to go this direction, and that's what's driven every decision that's been made over the last several
I
years. And I'm
I
just like,
think
we're done.
here's what I would take. These articles come out when it's all anonymous sourcing. I think it's a lot of posturing. This whole thing is a case study in like game theory and like negotiating tactics. Like on the one hand, I feel like you have PIF and they're sniffing around with the European tour. And maybe they want to do something over there. And I think then the PGA Tour gets wind of that, and then they kind of throw a bone out and they say, "Oh, well, this is what we're thinking." So they're kind of fighting this through Bloomberg and the Wall Street Journal of like giving these reporters a little nuggets, and that all to me is a little bit of leverage. I want to kind of zoom out. I think there's two big things at play that I'm looking at. One is the timeline. Basically, in my head, and correct me if you guys disagree, but you got about 6 months here before, like, if you wanted the next season to look different, you'd have to have something figured out by what, June or July, right? Before you made the
Earlier than that,
schedule. You think earlier than that?
I would think. I mean,
So then we're
shit
talking
just
about
doesn't cut.
27, right? Like I think
Yeah,
it's important to like give listeners or even golf fans, like when we talk about like, oh, these guys they're gonna sign something and bring the tours together. Like in the ideal world, it's gonna be one place. All the golfers are gonna be playing at the same stops, whether that's global or whatever it is. I think people don't understand how hard it's going to be to like reshift all that once they do sign that piece of paper. So that means we're like 2026 is probably out the window. So we're looking at this fractured state for at least 2 more years, right? 25 and 26. Let's be conservative with that. Do you think that's conservative?
and that's a half a decade
Yeah,
of
but
years of
I
sport
would say
golf.
that's probably
It's insane.
27 is when we're looking at realistically something changing.
When I think about it that way, then I'm like, well, then is the tour gonna be like, well, our TV deal technically goes through 31, so I don't do we just kinda let it roll
That's
until
exactly
and
right.
then
So then
we
it's like maybe we can just bleed them out a little bit more. It sounds like some guys are unhappy. So then what does Liv do? Well, or what does the PIF do? Well, they go hire the 76ers guy and they start to try to strengthen their management over at Liv because they don't want to act like they're folding Liv because then that's going to give them less leverage. Right? So, but I also don't think the PIF would have any problem in saying if they did come to an agreement and just like, yeah, we're just not going to invest in Live anymore. Like, I think yeah, it's going to exist, but it might just fizzle away.
Oh,
But I think that if anybody has deep enough pockets to just like run like concurrent streams of like money and strategy, like that's kind of what you have to do here. Because if you start to fold Live or you give the signal that you're doing that, then you're going to lose leverage. So this is all like posturing to me. It's hard to talk about though because like nothing's actually going to change at the earliest. Like I guess that's a prediction I'd made. 2027 is the earliest anything will change. So we are looking at 2 more years of just this kind of abyss where like, yeah, let's just get ready for the majors, Sick. Do you
oh,
guys disagree with that? Do you think that's
no.
fair or
I,
unfair?
Contrary to everything I just said, I think there is hope for 26. Like if something came together relatively quick in the coming months, there's hope for 26. I would not throw that out completely. Do I have like actual belief that we're trending that way? No, I don't. But I think that it's not out the window yet for
I think they
26.
would need to buy themselves time because if something comes together, I think another thing that's holding things up is I bet the guys that stuck around are looking for some a blood sacrifice on, you can't just let Brooks come back and play at the Pebble Beach Pro Am in 26 in these signature events. Like, can you? Yes. Should they? Probably. Like everybody's making more money now.
Yes,
It's
they
kind of like
should.
whatever, man. Like at
You got
this point,
equity. Those
y'all
guys
are
got
making a ton
equity.
of money. Those guys left and it actually probably ended up helping you guys out too, but they made more than you did. And, Bryson's making more than you. And so, but there's a lot of PGA guys that are going to be like, no, they need to pay the piper a little bit. And I think they're going to need some time to figure out how to figure that out. And so that's why I don't think 26 is in play.
We'll see. What
I feel like that's all they've been doing for like a
I
year.
was
Like
gonna
it's
say,
figuring
hopefully
out how
they've
to
been
get these guys rolled back in.
yeah.
Like,
Well,
There
it
was a
doesn't seem
great
like they're making any
controversy.
fucking progress on it.
no, I
There
agree.
was this
And that's where I'm like the adults in the room, like the people that have come in, like that are supposed to be kind of the owners of this thing, right? Like that's a huge problem in all of this is the players aren't really negotiating against anyone except the players. Like the executives are, somewhat put in place by the players, and that's all complicated. But in other sports, there's ownership group and players associations that do collective bargaining and work through all of this stuff. It doesn't exist at the PGA Tour until now. There's an ownership group, and I don't know what the future of the negotiations of all that looks like. But that's where the adults in the room need to say, like, top down approach. Y'all aren't in charge anymore. Okay,
Yeah.
you need some leaders that are going to be in charge and are going to view this from like a funnel media production and not just the individual careers and how many starts you get being the most important thing. Like, this is how we have to view this if you want this product to be successful long term. And everybody's just trying to grab what's available right now, because it's like they're in the cash booth right now. And if you're 42, you probably don't care what the future of the sport looks like nearly as much as you do what your status is for next year.
There was
It's
a
tough.
great story Rex Hoggard wrote on golfchannel.com or NBCsports.com, whatever it is now, that Cody sent through to Slack from a couple weeks ago. And Hudson Swafford is kind of the first time I've seen any quotes from somebody who's like, yeah, like I honestly, I would, I would love to come back to the PGA Tour. Like this didn't work out for me, and I would love to come back. And I keep asking Jay, and I keep asking Jason Gore, and they're just like, yeah, we don't really know what to tell you. Just kind of sit tight. And it's just a very, it's just a very funny, like, yeah, nobody had, like, they're not sitting like, no, we have the answer in an envelope, but we're just not going to tell you what it is. It's just like nobody has the answer, and
I think
it's
there's
going to take a
two
long
other
time to
things
figure it
I
out.
want to point out. One, the 6% stake, the 6-8%, like I've seen that number around for like 6 to 8 months. So I think that's real, right? I
Yeah.
think that's probably the stake of ownership that PIF's going to get. Now, who's on the, is Andrew on the board? Is he not? What seat is he on the board with the SSG guys? Like that's probably all still undecided. But
The
the
big
other thing,
H2O.
the other thing that I thought was interesting was, there's that regulatory DOJ stuff, right? Okay, you guys we're wiping a competitor off the board, Soly.
Which
That
is
that
where
quote
I
exists. That quote's not going away. So I think they're waiting until the end of January when there's an inauguration that goes through, and they need to get knighted by DT. I think that's at play
DT is
here
going to be
too.
the third base coach, just wheeling everybody
And I
around the
think,
corners.
in some ways, I think that's smart because when DT weighs in on this kind of stuff, whether you like him or you don't, it'll add some juice, right? Of like, okay, he's going to call off the DOJ jogs, like, yep, get this done. This is good for golf, and it's he's in with the Saudis, he's in with the he loves golf, so I think that's the I think they're sitting
Decidedly
tight.
not in with the PGA Tour.
No, I know, but
That's
he's in with golf,
that's
right? He's in with a lot of golfers, and I think the PGA Tour would probably be like, that's good for them
totally.
if he waves it through. That's good for them. So that
the
everybody's sitting on their
the man
hands
who
until he
saved golf.
gets
Can you
into
imagine?
office. He'll get a political win. So that's all in play now too. So I don't think we're getting any big announcements until March, April. Like the next round of announcements isn't happening in January. I think it's
Yeah.
February at the earliest.
All right, let's move
So
on. And when
and I
we have
well,
more information, we will be the first to
no, I
pass through.
feel bad. Like we're just, we're chucking them right now because we don't have any more information, honestly, than anybody else. Like, and we haven't talked about this as a group in a while.
Yeah,
I think we've done a good job of like laying off the Live PGA
Got it.
Tour
Yeah.
saga, but like, it's a good question. Can we level set where we're at? It's like this is where I think we're at, and
yeah.
it's a shit show. Like, it's just like it's ridiculous, man.
Uh, Number two.
But yeah,
For
let's talk about the Grant Thornton.
For the third straight year, Neil, Scotty Scheffler was voted by his peers as the winner of the Mr. Nicholas Award as PGA Tour Player of the Year. Just a couple fun facts for you here. Since the award started in 1990, only he and Tiger have been the people to win it 3 years in a row or more. For the first time, this was interesting. For the first time, the tour announced the vote percentage. This has always been very cloak and dagger. We're not going to tell you who won or how, like, we're not going to tell you by how much they won or who voted how or whatever. Scotty got 91% of the vote, which is
Wow.
very interesting. So a couple things out, Neil, I want to throw this to you first. Scotty's at 3 Player of the Year awards. Tiger's got 11. From the Nelly Cordes School of Actuarial Science, how many Player of the Year awards you give it to Scotty? And how do you feel about Scotty versus the field next year in this award?
How old is Scotty? He's
Probably
27.
20, no, a little older, I think 29 maybe.
I mean, I know he looks like he's 57, but
We can get you that answer. He's 28 and
28.
6 months.
28. Okay. So he is 27. There we go.
28 and 6 months. He is 28.
Oh, he's 28 in 6 months. Got it. I thought you
28
said he
and
was
a half.
28 in 6 months.
Fair
I
enough. That
misheard
was
you.
the wrong way to phrase that.
Okay. I'm gonna say 9.
9 player of the year.
Are you setting the over under at 9 or are
Like
you
8 and a
saying he
half
wins
or
9?
Yeah,
9 and a half.
let's say 8.5. I always do that wrong. So 8
Yeah.
and a half. I think over the next 20 years, I mean, he's proven like 3 in a row. Like, I don't know if well, let me back up. I'm surprised that Xander didn't get more votes from his peers.
Well, that was gonna be my next question. Is
That's an
this
interesting
this
topic. More interesting than my stupid line setting, honestly.
Yeah, I would
I
disagree
disagree
with
with
that,
that
but
vehemently, but,
Well,
that was gonna be what I was gonna ask you guys. Is there a little ding
also 9.
is there a little ding in the, majors are the only thing that matter, conversation here when guy who wins 2 majors only gets 9% of the player of the year vote, and he, like, has a massive career year outside of that.
I think I'd struggle to go back to a one major season that trumps Xander's season and from any prior year, right? Like this is kind of a unicorn year. Like would it be VJ 2004? We just released a KVV narrative podcast on that. Like would VJ's 04 beat Xander's year this year? It might. Like it's truly it maybe answers the question what the exchange rate is on PGA Tour wins
Yeah,
to
for
majors,
real.
and maybe it's 3-1.
I think
Maybe it's 4
also
to
these
1.
guys are so in on the stats and stuff when they see how well Scotty strikes it and how like easy he makes it look. I think that makes a big impact on his peers as well.
Yeah.
It looks
Also,
really, really easy for him where it looked like, Xander also makes it look easy, but had to rise to the occasion this year. So I guess it still surprises me though. Two majors for Xander, and he, I don't know. That's interesting that he doesn't get
maybe this is
30% of the
Gets
vote.
the Jill Stein vote, 2
Yeah.
majors. It's crazy. Yeah.
maybe it's nothing, but I also think like Scotty getting arrested at Valhalla and Xander going to win that one
Yeah,
is not nothing.
that's
Like
true.
Scotty's probably going to win that tournament without that.
All right. So do you guys disagree with my 8.5? You think that's high?
That's so many.
That's a lot.
Like,
God, that's a lot. That's sick. I mean, he would have to let's just, like, game this out. He would have to win probably like, if you're gonna win player of the year with limited field, no cut events, kind of smaller schedules, you probably gotta win at least 4 times in each of those seasons, right? At least?
he's got a new putting grip that's supposedly even better now.
Yeah.
And I mean, if we're giving him 2 more years with no more live guys, it
True.
doesn't seem like there's anybody on the
So
PGA Tour that can.
that would be 4.
And just think
What is
about when we
that?
come back around on some of these major
mean,
venues that he sees for the second time. He's obviously going to win then.
it's basically
know?
what does he have total right now? Probably like 14 wins, 15 wins, something like that. So this would be Neil, you're basically essentially giving him 4 times 6, 24, put him at like 35, 37, 38 wins. That feels kind of feels about right.
I also look at Scotty and I think he doesn't have a lot of other stuff it seems like that he's interested in. Like he's not trying to train with the Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
He has a swing that I feel like is because it's so fluid and he doesn't lock his feet in, so I don't think he's going to blow his back out. He seems to take great care of himself in the gym. Like I see longevity here
Not
with
worried about the
Scotty's
neck.
game.
You're not worried about the neck.
Not as much so. I'd be worried more if like he doesn't have, the guys that have the bad backs, the low backs are the ones like Jason Day that have like the real like solid base with their feet in the ground. Like the guys that let their feet roll, it feels like they age well.
Yeah.
And that is truly me hucking takes here. But I'm just trying to back up my longevity. That it's a longevity play here. I think that, I'm sticking with 8.5. And I agree now that you've laid that out, Deed, and it's from your peers. That is high. It is high.
If I asked you guys at the age that so Scotty has 13 PGA Tour wins, at the age that Scotty is now 28 and a half years old, how many wins did Justin Thomas have?
It's probably pretty close. 9?
14.
Really?
If I'm doing the math right.
Whoa.
He has 15 total. Well, he won the 2021 players. That's 3 years. I think he had 14, maybe 15 if I do the math right.
Oh,
Damn.
that's kind of the quiet part is it can go. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It does not last. It rarely.
It does not last
forever.
forever.
Rarely lasts forever.
But also, if it's going to last forever, it like looks like this more than it does like Jason Day's always my example of
Sure.
like That dude was out of this world for like 18 months, like completely.
Can you
And it was not sustainable. And Scotty's feels way more sustainable.
That's kind of where I'm at. It doesn't.
I
3
know.
years in a row already feels like a lot longer than anybody else's like hot streak. Like it's
Yeah.
starting to not feel like a hot streak to me.
God, can you imagine if how many of these we would have given to Spieth? Like 2015?
Well, how many? Who's second with Player of the Years?
Rory, I think, also has 3.
Okay. Well, all right. So 8.5 is high.
Yeah. It's only been around since 1990 though, and Tiger
Put that
hoovered
shit
up
in
most
ink. Put it on the record. I got Nelly for 11 majors, and I got Scotty for 8.5. Come talk to me in 2050, and let's
I love
let's
it.
let's have a conversation.
Let us know in the comments if you're riding with the czar on this
Yeah.
one. I love this.
Czar, he always sets it where like the over would be like plus 800. Like,
Well, you know what?
What
I
if it
always
hits? But
I
imagine
mess
if
it up
it hits.
because I don't set a line like that. I think other. I'm almost going off of like, no, I think he's gonna win 9. Like it's not. I'm not
Sure.
setting a line. I'm like predicting what I
right.
think it's gonna be. Not good.
All right, I had this as number 6, but I'm gonna move it up because it naturally ties in to number 3. The PGA Tour has announced something that I'm kind of excited about. 2 new documentary
Awesome.
projects that will debut over the next few weeks, and it's very in line with what we're talking about here. The first one, called Scotty 24, is a deep dive look at Scotty's historic season. And I don't know if you guys watched the trailer for this, but it appears to have like
Looks awesome.
pretty epic sit down stuff with Tiger talking about the similarities between him and Scotty, how they play the
Golf nerd
yeah.
stuff, like the
Why do you
stuff
think
that
I
I want to
picked
hear.
8.5? Just go watch
watch
the
that
trailer.
The trailer's great. Tiger's like, yeah. I mean, I like smother it. And he like slides it.
So much good jargon, I can already tell.
A way of hitting the ball I've never even like considered. I don't even know if those are the right words, but yeah, he like slides at it. I like my swing was really violent.
So that one is going to premiere on the PGA Tour's YouTube channel on December 23rd. The other one, Neil, I think you might need to do a weekly recap podcast on this series. Xander Embedded is going to premiere on December 27th, which is going to be like a 6 or 7 episode series. And I'm quoting here, will provide a rare glimpse into the real Schauffele through his time in his hometown and on the road. This one, I'm a little less excited about this one, but we'll see what they get.
God,
It
if you
feels like
could just that this could be 3 episodes.
Sure,
Number 1. It's
sure.
kind of like, do we need
Well, it had to be
6?
longer than the Making of Boston Common documentary, which was 5 episodes. Couldn't
But
let that one be
I
longer.
honestly hope that it like we hear from players on tour. Xander's he's a great dude. Quote, oh, he's
Yeah.
a great dude. It's like, well, I just don't get any of that as a fan. So hopefully this will give me a rare glimpse, as they say, into the great dude. I would like to embed with the great dude.
Speaking of great dudes, our guy Smartin is producing the Scotty one. I think it's kind of his first big swing doing that. There is no more like proper golf nerd in the world. So none of this will be this is not going to feel like a reality show. I promise you that. It's going to be proper golf nerd stuff from our guy Smartin. So very excited about that. And it kind of feels like, and they're kind of touting it as the first really big swing at original content by PGA Tour Studios, which opens next year. They're opening this brand new, massive, state-of-the-art studio down there in Ponte Vedra Beach. So listen, we give the tour a lot of shit about like, hey, treat the golf like golf, treat it like a professional sports league, treat it like the game that all of us love. And these 2 things appear to be in line with that. And so listen, if they suck, then they suck. But I am, very innocent until proven guilty here. I think this is exactly the kind of stuff we have been asking for, and I'm just wanted to shout it out because I'm very excited about it. So,
Yeah, great call there. I think I'm in the order you listed them, or the order of excitement for me. I think you'll know in the first 10 minutes of the Xander one whether or not it's like a real thing or if it's like a knockoff of other reality based series. But you sent over the trailer earlier, like you mentioned about the Tiger and Scotty stuff is like legit what we would be asking for. It looks very good.
Speaking of just really serious golf, TGL and ESPN has announced their broadcast personnel for this season. I will run through these briefly here. In the host chair, the Peepaw himself, Scott Van Pelt, friend of the program. Play-by-play guy, Matt Barry. On-the-ground reporter, Marty Smith. Brother, tell me, how does it feel? Digital hosts are going to be Jemai Webster and another friend of the program, Claire Rogers. MC inside the SoFi Center is going to be our guy Roger Steele, hopefully taking some shots at Tron wherever he could get him in. Neil, your guy DJ Irie
Oh
is going to
yeah.
be just, spinning
No idea who he is, but I like it.
inside of that. The referee, and this is different than the rules official. There is a referee, is Derek Stafford. I did a deep dive on him today. I found his Instagram. Appears to be some sort of retired NBA referee, so look out for that. And then rules official is our guy Mark Russell of PGA Tour fame. So I mean, I'm giving this like kind of a 8.5, 9 out of 10. I feel like they kind of nailed a lot of this stuff. How do you guys feel?
I need a little more flair though. Okay, so I need like the referee needed to be the guy from the boxing GIF. That after that one punch is thrown, he's like, ooh, ooh. I need the referee to be. I need some kayfabe here.
Sure.
Like I need some of this. And here's what I'm begging. And I don't want to ruin the surprise if they are actually like the 0.1% chance they're planning this. If the rules official is Mark Russell and they ask for a second opinion, I need Slugger to be backstage. I need him to have intro music, and like that's what's going to bring the golf world together. Okay, like I need some WWE stuff out of this TGL thing. If they come out and treat this overly serious, I fear for it.
Need to get maybe Raj like some divot mix just to.
And they are going to be hitting off real turf.
Off real turf, right? So who's filling in divots? Need to know that. Who's
No
caddying?
shout out to the agronomy team for their announcement,
Yeah.
which is very frustrating. The supers are going to be pissed about that.
No, I mean, I would say shout out to ESPN. Like this is, it seems like they are treating this as like a big deal for, from a production and network standpoint. So that's great. I just need to see it.
Sure.
I think they're, seeing a lot of social content coming out for each team. Listen, I do not care about the teams, but it's happening. So there seems to be some momentum building. I am ready to watch it. I just want to watch it.
I forgot to mention or ask you, Soly, also, does the Juan Soto signing affect New York Golf Club's like player acquisition ability in the future? Are you worried about that at all? I know that's your squad.
I mean, I haven't seen what the competitive balance tax is.
There's only
for the
one
TGL,
checkbook,
but
it's the money's only coming
yeah.
from one checkbook, so there's gotta be a downstream
Which
effect.
team, Deej, did you get when you took the
LAGC.
test? LAGC? I
Yeah,
was
me
the
and
Bay Club.
Serena and the squad out there.
Is there any spot in the agenda tonight for some hole chatter?
I was going to slide it in right there. This is kind of our TGL corner. So I know our guy, Augustin Pisa is dropped another banger. Although admittedly, kind of a template. He seems to kind of just be really beaten to death this exploring triangles, motif. I believe it was it the spear that came out?
Yes.
The spear is a triangle leading into a diamond,
the same as the last one,
with a gap in a green with TIO stands around the green. I'm in on all of this. I worship at the temple, but I vacation at the spear. Okay, like that. They might look similar, but they are two very different golf holes. I look at both of them, and I'm like, I'm thinking of like, what are they going to do? Like, what are they going to do here? And all the Nicklaus ones, I'm like, oh, here's what they're going to do. And I don't. There's enough golden tee elements in a few of these that has me intrigued, and you can always tweak these things too, right? Like if they can throw out the holes that are bad, keep the ones that are good, build off of it. So I don't know if they're not going to get it all. Like they've released enough now to know they're not getting all of them right in terms of what's going to provide entertainment. But some are like, dude, I am very excited to see what guys do.
It is interesting to think about like such a difference with the risk reward when it's a screen. Like
totally
when you're not actually hitting it over like real water. Like if all these guys don't fucking send it, what are we doing? Like anybody that's ever played simulator golf, like have you ever laid up in a simulator? Absolutely not. Come on, I'm a pumping driver. Let's go.
Yeah, I feel like they're getting enough kind of public dubs now of just like outrageous stuff that people are like, oh, that's funny, rather than just like this is a disgrace to the game of golf. I think they're starting to realize like, oh, okay, it's all right if we actually like just make it kind of stupid and fun, And I actually feel like Scott Van Pelt will be like he's like the perfect balance for that, like he's got both levers where he can be very serious and he can do, mornings at the Masters and the British Open, or he can just be like, ah, guys, it's not that fucking serious. We're just having a fun time. So
we might have to get a couple quotes from SVP.
Yeah, I think so.
See what he's thinking here. Like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I'll see you in February.
Number 5, again, just I'm beating you guys to death with very serious golf talk here. The Skins game is set to return on Black Friday 2025 as a made-for-TV event through a partnership with Pro Shop. PGA Tour will own the rights to this event, which is a notable change, of course, from the match series. Neil, what does this do for you? Anything?
I mean, I like the skins game growing up, but just it really depends on who's playing
Sure.
and where. Like, it's
Does it? Because the next item on the agenda, Rory, Scotty, Bryson, and Brooks are playing on Tuesday, and it feels like there's no genuine buzz about that, and that's about as 4 big of names as you can get. So, like, I was thinking the same thing, Neil. Like, all right, hard to get excited about this before I know who's playing in it. But now I'm also like, I'm not really excited for the showdown. So why would I be that much more excited for the skins game a year out? I don't help me with that if you
well,
can.
my thing with the showdown, I just again, it's my thing with the match. It's just a deluge of different formats, and there's just no through line to any of them. So that's where I've tuned them out. But like the original match, like the Tiger Phil thing, I was really amped up for that.
Yeah.
Like, yes,
Yeah.
just a straight up match between two players. Or if this was just a straight up match between like 2-on-2, but then they got the 6 holes or 4 ball, 6 holes or foursome, 6 holes or singles. Like, that's where I'm like, why? Why not just play a match? It doesn't have to be that complicated.
I think the
I
skin
do think it's sick that they will be paying out 10 million in a minimum of 10 million in cryptocurrency. Uh,
As it continues to rise.
yeah, Solly, we need to track which one, and we should have like an ongoing update throughout next year of like what happened to that cryptocurrency.
I
But
just
that's just an interesting wrinkle there. I think this is all kind of fake. So paying them in crypto is like symbolic. I think is pretty sweet.
I just
Crypto's not fake, but
I
okay.
just need
Well,
somebody
yes, of
to,
course.
I just need somebody to ask Scotty about it in a very earnest way in a press conference. Just be like, "Hey, man, I was curious, what do you really like about these cryptocurrencies, and where do you see the value in these, and
Or like a
how did?"
month later, have you held on to your Doge that they paid you out in?
Oh,
Deej, I'm gonna convert you by inauguration. All
totally,
right. You're gonna be a coin holder by before
for
inauguration.
sure.
That's a goal of mine for
Keep
2025.
sending me the info.
I think, Solly, to answer again, another answer to your question was I believe the original match with Tiger and Phil was on Black Friday in
It was.
2018.
Yep.
And I think when these get put out also matters a ton. Like random Tuesday night, like in December,
Yeah.
versus like Black Friday, something to watch when like I'm with my aunts and uncles and they're all casual fans is important.
But
So
I mean,
that date gets me
now there's
excited a little bit.
NFL though,
Yeah,
and there's college. Like I
exactly.
feel like that was a gap in the calendar that doesn't exist anymore.
Totally agree. I think that's the gift and the curse of the skins game is like, yeah, it has cachet with older golf fans, but also it's got cachet from like 1996 that has been since just really replaced by a lot of other stuff. But
And it was a big deal because like these dudes made more
yeah,
like money. They got their bag at this event. It's been proven that people don't care about how much money the guys are playing for.
Yeah.
Like literally a skins game is just playing for money. Again, that's where I come back to like it's hard to get super amped for it. Now, like watching guys play golf and mic'd up, if you do some fun stuff with it and do some things that show off the personality, great. Now, what I've hated about like the way the match and all that has trended is just the over commercialization of all of it has just made it like, oh, why it's not like original fun content that I would actually want to spend my time watching. It's like brought to you by Taco Bell at every turn, and I'm
Well,
just
there's
over
also
that.
like a gimmick on every tee box, and
Yeah,
that's the part that I don't like as well. Whereas, like, if they just did a skins game, that's great. But you make a good point about the money thing. It's like, yeah, it's all kind of been desensitized. Where it's like, okay, I got the TGL, I got the matches. Now I'm gonna get excited about. It used to be you didn't see anything but the skins game, so it was exciting. Now it's like, okay, cool, throw another log on the fire.
I
the fact they're playing for crypto this week is like, all right, that's a good little wrinkle.
which again, two different things, right? There's the skins
Right.
game and there's the showdown by crypto.
Did I
Whereas
need them
like
to announce a year ahead of time that the skins game was coming back without telling me who's in it
With
and
no
where it's
play.
at? No, I did not need that. To answer your question, Deej, did not doing much for me.
and it also is just like just to underscore it or underline it, it's like you know, I just don't have anybody beating down my door being like, "What I need right now is meaningless golf for a ton of money." Like, that's just fucking set on that, man. We do not need any more of that right now, and we may have overcorrected in the market on that. I think as I was thinking about the skins game specifically, like, again, this is more for the broader golf audience than it is for me. But like I kind of think it has to be celebrities. I know that's like wildly different than what the original Skins game was, but it's got to be like the college kicker syndrome of like, dude, this could go off the rails at any time. Like this guy might hit a bad shot is I think
That
what would
is
make
more
this
compelling,
way more
honestly.
interesting than like, here's the same fucking guys you've watched
Yeah.
play all these meaningless golf tournaments. This is gonna be the same amount of meaningless, like,
And
this
get this,
time,
it's for
but
money.
this time it counts, is like, not into that. But I think if it's like it's kind of the Charles Barkley, like, you know, what's he gonna do out there? I'm good on DJ Khaled and that whole situation, but I think if you had, like, 4 super compelling, very unpredictable celebrities, I actually think it could wear pretty well.
And I think it's just like the Skins game went away probably for a decent reason in terms of, well, the tour got way too involved with it and tried to,
I'm glad you asked, actually. I dug up a couple Skins game facts if you guys would like them, and we're
I would in one second just when but like the access to players and athletes and all of that is very different in
yeah.
2025 when this happens than it was even in like the mid 2000s when we got Tiger, Annika, Fred Funk, and all this stuff that was like made for TV events that were the access to these guys was not the same then as it is now, and like there's a saturation element of all of this. But yeah, I'm excited to hear some of this. Was it like '08 or '09? Who was it that as soon as he qualified, they were like, okay, this is done. It was like
I don't know who it
uh
was specifically, but ended in May, when the presenting sponsor pulled their sponsorship due to sagging ratings. Uh, Neil, there's been 3 sponsors. I put this one in there for you. There's been 3 sponsors in the history of the Skins games. I know you're a big, kind of commercial partners guy. Can you name
Sure.
any of the sponsors of the Skins game? I definitely could not, but I didn't know if
It's
they were
not, so
rattling around
Shell
your
is not one.
Shell is not.
Um,
We're all across the board here, which is why it caught my eye. We've got ConAgra.
okay.
Did not see
Would
that
not have
coming.
guessed that.
We've got Merrill Lynch. Uh,
Okay.
could have seen that, but maybe not so much after 2007 or so. And then LG, Life's Good. And they were the one that pulled their sponsorship. There was one player that absolutely dominated this event that we haven't talked about yet. You guys familiar with who this is or what his nickname was according to Wikipedia for the Skins game? It was, of course,
Duval?
Fred Couples was given the nickname of,
that's right.
quote, Mr. Skins, uh, because
Skins.
because of his dominance in the Skins game. He won $4.4 million in 77 skins in 11 appearances. He
Jeez.
he won 5 of these things overall. Tiger never won the event, which is kind of just a fun thing. The last thing I had, in 2001, they implemented a validation system. So
Mm.
they said, like, if you want, if you want a skin, you had to also win or tie the next hole in order to win your skin. And this proved just like way too hard and
Yeah,
a horrible idea.
nobody could do it.
Nobody could do it. And it took until the 17th hole for Greg Norman to do it, to win the 17th. And then he tied the 18th. So he ended up just taking the whole $1 million purse there. After that, they got rid of that. Also, the 18th hole used to be worth 200 grand, which they called the super skin, which kind of made me laugh as well.
Guess how many people watched the first Skins game in 1983?
Dude, probably like
It was on the Golf Feuds pod if you haven't listened, but
25 million or something like
it was
crazy.
8 million, which
Okay.
sounded like a lot
That
until you
is a
said
lot, yeah.
25. But
No, but
Thank
that
you.
is
like more than the Masters that year.
exactly. That is a ton. Jesus. All right, number 6, we kinda already talked about. That was gonna be the showdown presented by Soly's friends at crypto.com. Looking forward to it. Tuesday night. This time it counts. We'll see how it goes. Number 7, let's transition over into recreational golf a little bit. Simple one here, okay? Neil, I'll start with you.
Oh,
What's
God.
the absolute worst golf shot you hit in 2024?
Actually, God, I was mega prepared. I forgot to answer this question in my head. Recency bias would be, you know what? I don't have a specific one. I missed a lot of like not like really short putts. I'm thinking of like when we did the all shot on camera, short
Putts
putts on camera. Where you're like,
putts you
oh,
should make.
putts I
That's
should make. Yes.
and you never wanna miss putts you should make.
Never want to miss putts you should make. I'm trying to think of like the worst shot though.
I can come back to you. Sal, you got one?
Yeah, come back to me.
I do. I am going to go full TC on this one. I'm going to take us back to hope people have not got a chance to watch film from the 2024 Gasparilla Invitational, the opening round.
Hell yeah.
If you have watched, I know you're probably thinking the missed 15-inch putt on the second hole. No, I'm not going to go with that one. I know what you're thinking, the missed pitching wedge that you hit out of bounds on the fourth. No, we're not going to go with that one. It is going to be the 2-iron I hit off the second tee, which when Neil watched this back with me on the film was like, was that a shank? And it actually wasn't a shank. It was such a like, it's like I got Mito Pereira electrocuted at the top of the swing and was so afraid of pulling it OB left that I legitimately just left the club face entirely wide open, hit it directly into a tree 40 yards in front of the tree. That's a tie with also a drive I hit that day, which we had to watch it back a couple
Yeah,
times
I
doing
remember this
the rewatch because it was on the 7th hole or the 11th hole. The drive went so far right, like the tracer looked like it was wrong. And Neil was just finally was like, hold up, can we go back and watch that? And those are the two like most embarrassing shots that I hit. And of course they were captured on camera this past year. And you could tell I've not stopped thinking about either one of those.
God, that's good stuff. I had a good one. It just got like it would have easily been the shank Neil that I hit in our match at Royal Melbourne. Coming down the stretch, I'm
Sure,
grinding my
yes.
face
That
off.
was tough
We have
on
like a great
16.
great match going on. We're going punch for punch. I'm hanging around, and then I just shank a wedge on like the or an 8-iron, I think actually on the par three.
And
I'm
we
just
were
like, oh,
I
all
was
right.
we were like,
I
"We'll
guess
find that one."
I
It's
guess
like,
that match is all right. Guess that match is over. That was really bad, and it just got supplanted atop the rankings by we
"Oh,
go to this
really?"
event. Yeah, we go to this event at a Hoopy Match Club every year, and it's a very fun event that Gil Hans puts on, and you never quite know like who's going to be there, and so you're always getting paired with like random people from around the golf industry and whatever. And I showed up this year, and my pairings were this guy Jeff, who was great, Gil, and Bill Murray. And I am like trying to be cool because I'm like, Soly, I know you've played with Bill Murray. Tron, I know has played with Bill Murray. I've gotten to meet him, but I'm like, I'm a fucking massive Bill Murray guy. Like he's like, that is
Just
like
wanna
the
talk a little Wes Anderson with him,
I'm just like
maybe.
trying not to ask stupid questions. I'm trying to be cool. And I'm like, all right, I'm walking to the first tee. I'm like, yeah, man, like, in my head, I'm like, "You're okay, like, you've played with some people
You're good.
before, like, you're
Got
not gonna, it's just golf, like, what, don't worry about it." And for whatever reason, as I'm, like, stepping into this first driver on the first hole, I'm literally just like, "Fuck, man, like, that's Bill Murray over there, like, that's crazy." And I just almost whiffed it and, like, topped my driver, probably went, like, 20 yards maybe, and I was the last to hit, and so everybody's walking off the tee box, and we all are, like, traipsing around this, like, scrub brush looking for my topped tee ball until finally Gil's just like, "Hey, man, like, why don't you hit another one? Like, come on, like, we're just having fun." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, cool, great." I'm just walking back to the tee, and then they're all, like, standing right where
Oh,
right where, like, if I did hit, like, a quick little heel, I'm like, "God, I know I could, like, kill Bill Murray if I missed this one." I just hit, like, kind of a slappy, wipey one. So, yeah, just really tough, man. Really,
Oh,
really
that's
tough, but it
good.
was after that, we settled in, and it was a great day and, played fine, but it was,
I was gonna say you don't need to be embarrassed for bad golf in front of Bill. He's not what I call a great ball striker,
he
right?
played
So
fucking played great against us, man. We were giving him, like,
whoop
16
ass.
shots, and he just every hole was just like, "Oh, 4 for 3, 4 for 3, 3 for 2." I'm like, "This sucks." And
How was it meeting your hero? Like, did you have some
oh my
good?
god, it was like
I did no idea what to ask him because I'm such a film novice. Like, I felt like I asked him the dumbest questions over 3 days.
it was the best, man. It was the best. I was trying not to beat him up for, stuff, but I got yeah, all kinds of like he's in like 7 of my favorite movies of all time, and so I'm like just little nuggets about, how'd you get linked up with Wes Anderson and what was it like on Rushmore and, how does the music supervision work? And because that was the other thing was like this we had 2 great caddies and, we get to like the 4th hole and one of them just starts playing music. Totally just picks any song like randomly, did not do this on purpose. But the first song that plays, it's like dead quiet out there. There's no wind or anything. And he the first song he plays is Showdown by ELO, which of course is like the song from Kingpin. Like, the great montage with Big Earn and Kingpin, and he's like doing all the crazy strikes and everything. And I'm just standing there. I'm like, yo, is nobody gonna like acknowledge? Like, this is like fucking Kingpin, man. Like, it's nobody
He's
talks
right
about it.
there. He's standing
Yeah.
right there.
So I'm like, all right, well, you can't be the guy to bring that up. And so we go play another couple holes, and then that Faces song, Ooh La La, like, wish I knew what I knew, when I was older. That song comes on, and so in my head, I'm like, fuck, like Rushmore, man. Like, this is the end of Rushmore. Like, this is incredible. Like, again, just be cool. And he, like, backs off the ball and starts laughing. He's like, "Man, this playlist is crazy." He's like, "This is all, like, songs from movies I was in." I was like, "Yeah, I know. I know. I've seen them all. I know. Yeah, yeah, no, right. We should talk about that for the next, like, 6 holes." No, it was great. We had an awesome time, and he was the best. It was lifelong dream. Very, very cool.
God, we might
Neil,
have
you
to
got
bring you into a Nest pod for a breakdown.
yeah, well, I mean, that was pretty much it. You know, the rest is just what are the Cubs gonna do next year and how you
Yeah.
feeling about the Bears and sorry about Coach Flus and you know, a lot of that stuff. But
How's the speed playing on the golf course? Sorry to I know sorry to derail you here, Neil.
It's
I'm
alright.
dying to hear how the speed plays on the golf.
it was well, it wasn't great on the first tee, but it was, you know,
It got into the ground in a
yeah,
hurry.
that's right. No, it got pretty good after that. It's still like I just haven't, you know, it was -2
Right.
degrees out here. So I haven't really been like hitting many balls out on grass, out on real turf. So it's you know, you're still kind of taking the Ferrari through the school zone a little bit. So you know, you can't really feel like you can eat it up when you haven't really hit balls in quite a while. But markedly longer as TC can testify to. So it's been great. Neil,
I
what do
do.
you got?
I'm not gonna go with a putt. Putting, that's a lame answer. It's between two of them. It's either the tee shot on number 16, but I think it's the tee shot on number 17 at Kingston Heath in my match against Soly in the finals of Tourist Sauce. Uh, I think the swing on 16 was a worse swing, but the decision, the body of work on 17 tee is absolutely the worst shot of the year. Just beating myself up internally, like, you fucking stink. You're gonna give this match away. Yeah, why don't we rope a 3-wood? And I mean, I got so lucky that ball stayed in play. It's OB all up the left, and I'm trying to hit a draw 3-wood up into this like long par 4. So stupid. And that was just a like bad decision, bad swing, quick pressure, couldn't even spit, just beating myself up, just like I think in the episode I said I felt like Tars. I felt like McConaughey in Interstellar, like, Tars, take the stick, like my face, the G forces are getting to me coming down the stretch. And
It's been
uh
55 years.
I ended up losing that hole, and then I pulled a rabbit out of my ass on 18,
I mean,
and
how good was the shot into 18 though?
So
Totally
really
good.
good.
redeemed
Both
the
the drive and the
Yeah.
because everyone's like, "Don't hit driver on 18." I was like, "Fuck it, we're going for it. We're doing it."
I couldn't believe you pulled driver
Yeah, and I
on
hit that was like the
18.
best shot of the year. So it was like I
road it.
followed it up.
Yeah.
I had to have it in that moment. So two good ones and made a nice putt. So
God, that's good
but
stuff.
God, that tee shot on 17 was so bad. So bad.
That was an epic match. That was so fun.
All of that is on camera. If anyone wants to go watch the episode 8 of Tourist Sauce Australia.
All right, rounding out the E9, number 8. Solly, just a simple one for you. How are you gonna play any golf in 2025? Like, I just wanna know, like like,
God, man. He
what's
just
the
got back. Give
plan?
him a break.
What's the plan here? What's the forecast?
The thought that I would have a plan for playing golf in 25 would assume that I have a plan for like how I'm going to do
It's a lot like
anything else
the PIF
in my life.
stuff. Like, we're target I think it's 27 at the earliest, you know?
I don't know. I don't know. I want to play the Gasparilla in February, as where I'm sitting right now. I'd struggle to picture how that's going to happen. Having played 0.0 rounds of golf, obviously, in at least 6-7 weeks. I don't know
God,
what it
I
is
bet you,
now.
dude, I bet if you didn't play until then, you'd play awesome. I bet you'd show
I
up and
I
just be like, oh, just vibing so hard, not putting any
I
pressure on
couldn't have
yourself.
or
been
not.
hotter going into last year, and I shot 1,000,000, so I might as well try it the other way around. I do want to put the new speed into tournament conditions. I want to try that, but I think I just got to be like better at calendar management of just like the stack has worked for me because I've put it on the calendar and like I do it
Yeah.
right. If I put I'm going to practice for 90 minutes on a Tuesday from 12 to 1:30, I will do it, but I get myself really busy and I don't go do it. So I just need to treat it like it is part of my job, and it technically is. It just, I don't know, for the last 9 months, plus it's just been triaging one thing after another because everything just trickles down. You guys know how it is. Like the nesting trickles into like, all right, well, if I'm going to get all my work done, I have to do this, and I'm working till 1 a.m. to get it. It's just, it's a big major squeeze. But in theory, things will lighten up. I think. I don't know. I really don't know. We'll see. It's gonna be 6-7 holes at a time. Probably is the answer
Yeah.
each. But in 2024, and we'll talk about this next week, I think was a record low for me. I did not get to 50 rounds in 2024, which is down quite significantly year by year. It's just disappointing,
Uh,
but it's life.
I think what you're gonna have though, that's like gonna be a positive, at least, so my son was born on September 12th, and so not too many rounds in Wisconsin after that. But every time I did get one, I was like, "Oh, I can't believe I'm out playing golf. Like
Yeah,
This is
you were
this is
enjoying it.
You
unbelievable."
appreciate it.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think you got that. Which is gonna be great.
We were at the Titleist shoot on Monday, and I had like 20 minutes in between different shoots, and I was like, "Can I go play the 18th of the ninth hole?" Like I did. I was like, they're like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." I'm like, I cannot wait. I get to go
Oh
play
my
a
god,
golf
playing
hole.
golf.
Yeah, I
Uh,
at the title shoot I was at the before the Traveler Soly, in between, I learned all these chipping techniques from like JT and Tom Kim, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go work on these like right now.
See ya.
I need to groove these now.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right, Neil, last one, number 9 here. I'm just gonna call this the people versus Neil Schuster. I saw small number of comments, I gotta keep an eye on the comments on the YouTube
sure,
channel,
sure.
of your video playing the Long Island Mid-Am out at the bridge. A couple commenters out there accusing the czar of some slow play malfeasance. I just wanted to give you the opportunity to respond, and, is there any credibility to these allegations?
Depends on what your definition of is. Uh, no, I did not play slow at the Long Island Mid Am this year. Okay, no, I would say this. God, the comment, that was my highest score of the year, second highest score of the year. I got bodied, right? So my play, I was like, oh man, this is a
Sick
tough one to put in the
sick
film room.
video. Would encourage
Yes,
everybody to
go
go watch
watch
that
it.
video. It's
And
I was cheering you on to post one of those, Neil, and I commend you for it.
no, I mean,
I
and,
did
and,
watch
and
that. It's
honestly, guys,
awesome.
it doesn't bother me when people are like, there's a lot of commentary in there, like, this guy sucks, and it's like, yeah, dude, like I didn't play good, but that does not hurt my feelings. It's just these couple of guys got in there, like apparently they're playing behind me, and they're like holding up the course all day, like don't ever come back, which is like not fucking true. Okay. We did get out of position a couple times on the front nine. Once was my fault. Once was not my fault at all. And then on the back nine on 11,
When you say your fault, you don't mean by playing slow, like a lost ball. Looking for a
yes,
ball
nothing to do with
is
the
not playing
camera. And
slow.
I'm
Yeah,
so high. The reason I got like pissed about that is like, I'm hyper conscious of that when we're filming. Anytime we're filming anywhere, but especially here, like I talked to the MGA people before the round and after the round about like, please, please, please come tell us if we're playing slow, whatever. Like I just do not want this to be a burden on anyone else. Guys playing with me, like same deal. And actually, I was DMing with one of the guys that played with me. I was like, man, I'm getting kind of lit up in the comments. You think we were playing slow? He's like, I mean, we weren't fast, but that was because the course was fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like it had nothing
Yeah.
to do with filming.
nightmare for pace.
Right.
That
And
course.
then but every time we caught up, and by the end of the round, like the group ahead of us was in sight. Like we were not like a hole behind on 15, 16, 17, 18. And so but I hate that. Like, I don't want to be like, I take that shit seriously. So I got kind of pissed off when I saw that. And I feel bad. Like, listen, could we have played faster? Yes. I wish we would have, but like, it was not over 5 hours because I made a point to check with the MGA about that. And they were like, you are no issue. Like they were like, absolutely not. You guys were not holding people up. And if we were, like, I'm sorry, but it just like it's not like I hate that attitude of like, oh, I came out to film and like don't give a fuck about anybody else on the course is not the vibe I want to put out. So if that's what it feels like, I take
No,
issue
that's
with that, But I talked to Cody. I was like, dude, he's like, we got out of position 11. I had nothing to do with it on 11, but guy I was playing with lost the ball, then he lost another ball, had to go back and hit, like that whole deal where he didn't hit a provisional. And I'm literally like standing up by the top of the green. I've already finished out. I'm just like tapping my foot, like, because I know that I'm the one that's going to get blamed for this because I'm the
sure.
guy with the camera following me around. Like, I was like, fuck, man, I have nothing to do with this. This sucks. Anyway,
Some people are assholes. Like that's just and some people want want to shit on anyone. Anyone
well,
that
it was
plays golf
that
on
the two
YouTube.
things
And
stuck.
you get an
It's
opportunity
crazy
to
what
shit on
people
them.
know.
They're going to
Like,
take
I
it.
don't know what happened. I love these FootJoy pants I wear. I don't know if they shrunk in the wash, but like they definitely look a little short on me in the video.
A lot of comments about that as well.
Yeah, my pants are too short. I like hand up. I was like, damn, they are too short. Like, or I gotta wear longer socks, And I was like, but it's funny that the shit people notice in the comments. Like, none of this shit
Oh
about my
yeah.
golf game bothers me. It's just like stuff like that. You're like, damn it, I need to. Did I gain weight? Like, why are my pants not fitting right? Like those pants have fit me all year. What the fuck happened? The internet's a mean place, man. You gotta
Sure.
watch
Oh
yourself.
god, yeah, you gotta be
Uh,
it doesn't matter what you do. Like, I think some of my best rounds on camera, people just will absolutely shred. It's like,
for
"Okay, well,
sure.
there's no
But
fucking
I don't
hope
like.
here."
I literally, I don't care. You say I played well or horrible. That any comments on my golf game, like we're past that. Like that's totally
Right.
fine. But
It
slow play in my pants. Now I'm gonna
it
get self conscious.
it's funny when yeah, some of it's like man in the arena stuff, right? Like, "Hey, man, I'm just putting myself out there." But then
Fuck yeah, man.
it's really tough when it's like, "Yeah, your fucking pants are too short, you dork." It's like, "Ah,
Like,
damn,
yo,
damn
what
it."
the hell is he? What's he wearing? Like, guys wearing two different shades of blue. What a fucking clown. I'm like, really? I thought those were the same shade.
I've gotten my sock colors. I never I've
Well,
once
your
thought about my
socks in
sock color.
Australia were tough.
Those
The
were
the
tough.
gray the
You
gray
figure
with
No,
the
out what
white.
happened
no,
in
they
real
weren't
time.
even on me on that, and I don't regret that, but they'll be like, you gotta stop wearing black socks with white shoes." I'm like, "What?
God, there's
I
so many
can't wear black
fashion
socks?"
stuff that I'm not,
Oh,
I don't. But hey, this is where learning happens on
that's
the
right.
edge of uncomfortable. I can't wait to film another round like that. I had a blast
That
that
was
day.
great. Dude, that's we should all everyone should play a tournament round in a course of a year and film it. Like, it's the bet. It's a totally different beast. And I saw like 85 things I've gone through in a tournament on your face in like the first 3 holes.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, "Here's my goal. Here's what I'm gonna
No,
do."
that was my
No, you're
best. Like
not.
I
You're
made a lot of
absolutely
mistakes
not,
with
but
my approach and like Deej, my putting stroke, like since has I have worked on it a bunch, but I had the same feeling as you. I wasn't putting well. Like I'd been in my head about my alignment and everything before heading into that tournament. The other thing that sucks about this, or not sucks, but it's funny, is like we filmed that in, I guess we filmed that in early October, but like a lot's happened since then. Like I mean, we filmed a freaking Strapped episode, like so
yeah,
there's so much other stuff that's happened where I'm like, oh, like it's
it's
very
okay.
different now than it was then. Like certain golf swing feels and all
You
that,
don't get
and
it. I'm back. I'm
yeah.
I'm
back.
back
See?
now since
No,
then.
I wouldn't say I'm back. It's
Back and
just
then I
like
lost it, and then but I'm on my way
it's
to
more just like, oh, that was like a, you know, like I had a putting virus that day. I was not feeling well. Now the putting stroke's gotten better. But anyway, it was I'm glad I did it, and I again I will focus like I always do, but in the future, if I do that one of those again, or if it's an MGA event, I make a point to I'm going to tell the MGA, tee me off last.
Yeah,
I don't care if I finish in the dark. Like
sure.
just I do not want to get in anyone's way. Like that is not the goal of this, of like everybody clear out so I can, pound the rock
No,
here and
and you're
make a
not a
YouTube
slow
video.
player. There's no chance. No, and you're not like waiting for cams and all
No,
that. Like, our
not at
guys
all. Like
hustle like that.
Kevin was
It's not
filming,
what
he was
happened.
great. It was like our camera guy's like a college golfer. Like we all knew the drill, it was like it's just true. Like the greens were so fucking fast and the golf course was really hard. Like the group ahead of we caught up to them several times where we waited on them.
The golf course looks so good.
And then the next day, I think the guy that was in the lead after day one, I think he shot like 73 nobody was under par. And then the second day, that guy shot like 88. Like I think, the winning scores are like +6 or something, like crazy. The wind kicked up day two. And so it was awesome though. Like the bridge was really, really cool. Like I never really knew much about it other than like, oh, it's an old racetrack, but
Yeah.
it's just another kind of flag out there on Long Island of like just awesome golf if you can get access to it.
Kinda hard to miss out there. Well, guys, let's land the plane here. On the housekeeping front, we've been mentioning this video. Go watch that on our YouTube channel, Neil's Round at the Bridge. Also on our NLU podcast YouTube channel, TC and Wolfie have been just cooking on some office hours episodes. They're really, really good. As always, all of these episodes go on our No Laying Up podcast YouTube channel. So go check that out. Speaking of the podcast, we've got a good one coming up on Tuesday. We did a deep dive. If anybody remembers KVV's piece that he wrote, kind of deep diving into Rory's last 10 years at the majors, kind of recorded a bit of a souped up podcast version of that written piece. So that'll be good to have in the audio format. Soly, you and I jumped on that one as well, just as kind of a, hucking some takes and jokes and bringing some dimensionalizing that one a little bit, as our guy Jay would say. And then Sunday next week. So anyways, look for that on Tuesday. On Sunday next week, I think we're going to do a deep dive into our golf games on the recreational side. We're going to look back at the year that was, do a little gin rewind stuff. It's going to be that's going to be a fun one. I'm really looking forward to next weekend. On the trap draw, we got the Seamsters are going to get together, talk a little hot stove. Randy did an interview with Keith O'Brien, also the author of the Pete Rose book, Charlie Hustle. So look for that on the trap draw front. Neil, what do we got on the merch side of the house?
We're running up against the shipping deadline, but it goes till basically Tuesday for like priority shipping if you're looking for a last minute gift. Nest members getting 20% off through the end of December. Normally that's 15%. Honestly, it's a good time to gift the Nest. nolayingup.com/join. All the info's there. Member gifts are going out in January, so it's a great time to join.
Worth
And
joining
then
the
if you go
Nest
to,
just to get on the member gift thread on the Refuge.
oh yeah,
You know,
like it
just to
turns
read
into
everybody. It's the best day of the year.
talk about people being mean on the internet. The Nest gift thread every year is a
Just to have access to that conversation. It's
good stuff. I'm excited about it this year. There's bound to be some chatter. We've got some exclusive discounts in people's Nest profiles too. Holderness and Bourne, Stone Creek Coffee, the Stack. There's all exclusive discounts. Those codes are valid through December 31st. And then we built up, I think the highlight this year, we built up a good archive. I think 14, at least 14, maybe 15 videos, just Nest only exclusive stuff behind the scenes, some original content. Question for you two. What's your favorite Nest behind the scenes video that we did this year?
Man, there's some good ones. I mean, the KVV self-talk one
That's where I went.
was
Yep.
really, really solid. That was just hearing him kinda just berate himself.
Doing a
You make it
personal
so hard on
film room,
yourself.
personal film room of his club championship round
That was good
that
stuff.
was appointment viewing.
I really enjoyed Soly, the putting, the kinda wild world of putting out at the Himalayas, was really fun. I think Ben would probably say his worst shot of the year was that last putt, the final hole of our putting match was just I've never seen anything like it. His putter was like, I don't know, 30 degrees open, something like I mean, it was just awful, awful, awful putt for a guy that's like a +2, just crazy stuff. Neil, what was yours?
Some of the Ben was putting together like a highlight reel of all these videos, and some of the stupid shit from the tourist sauce behind the scenes, like us singing Hunger Strike in the car, just long. Well, if you're in Australia for 2 weeks, you kind of get slap happy. So there's some good stuff in the tourist sauce behind the scenes. But anyway, you can find that on the nolayingup.com in the Nest section of the website. You can log in and check all that stuff out. Only other thing I'll say on merch, we've got these NLU like retro satin jackets coming into the pro shop on Tuesday. I'm very, very excited about these. So take a spin in there. We got some new hat or restock on hats coming in, and then we're gonna flip the year over and start planning for 25. So
Where will people find that, Neil?
the store.nolayingup.com. And like I said, the Nest is nolayingup.com/join. And if you do join the Nest, you get 20% off in the pro shop. How about that?
Well, guys, that's gonna just about do it. We don't have a big detailed one for the road tonight. I will just end on a bit of a somber note. Our guy Jeff Babineau passed away. Babs was he was kind of my first like real boss. He was the editor at Golf Week magazine when I joined out of college, and just like a guy I'm really bummed you guys didn't get to probably know very well, but just effortlessly funny dude, kind guy, pretty young guy with a great family, loved kind of coaching baseball and doing all kinds of stuff with the family, and like just I don't know, as I was like a very young writer, kind of editor type of person, just a guy to learn a ton from. No stupid questions with him. Always like, yeah, just always had a joke for everything, and like just a really good listener, really good interviewer, and a guy that just like fucking loved golf. And so he was I don't know, it was kind of shocking, really upsetting news, but there's been a million great tributes from Maselli and Jim McCabe and all kinds of great people that we worked with at Golf Week. And I don't know, man, Golf Week was a very, very fun time to be there when I was there. There was a lot of people that all of us kind of know either behind the scenes or not. I mean, Sean Martin was there. Eric Soderstrom, our guy who works at Titleist now, was there. Brentley Romine, who you see on Golf Channel, was there. Ryan Lavner was there. Julie Williams was there. It was just like a really, really fun time to be there. And Babs was
It's
kind
like the Commanders coaching, like the
No, I
whatever
was gonna
year
say it's
that
like the
was, their
PayPal
coaching list.
mafia.
of
Yeah.
but Babs was kind of the leader of the ship, and so it was like he touched a lot of careers for a lot of people in golf, and just a bummer to see him pass away, but a life well lived for sure. So
Well said, man.
yeah, I wanted to shout him out, and guys, I think gonna about do it for this here episode. Thanks for hopping on another kind of lengthy one, but the boys get going. It's hard to it's hard to hit the brakes.
We truly can't. We cannot keep it under 90. It's just impossible for the boys.
You guys have no idea how happy I am to have been back for tonight. Thank
Good
you
to
so
have
much
you.
for having
Good
me.
to have you back. And I can't wait to see these turf conditions down at the TGL.
Are you sure you don't want to keep going? Because otherwise, I got to get back into some poopy diapers. And,
Another thing about the PIF deal I was thinking about.
What kind of grass is it? Tiff Eagle? I think they're using. That's gonna be great,
Guys, we will talk to y'all next week. Thank y'all for listening, and cheers.
crack on.